Is everybody able to hear me?
Yes, Mataji, we can hear you.
Okay, thank you. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschata Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhaktavrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama. So Canto 10, Chapter 10, verse number 14. Yatha kantaka vidhango janturnichhati tam vyatham jiva samyam gato linge na tatha vividha kantakaha. Synonyms, translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Synonyms: Yatha, just as. Kantakaha vidha angaha, a person whose body has been pinpricked. Janto, of such an animal. Na, not. Ichhati, desires. Tam, a particular. Vyatham, pain. Jiva samyam gataha, when he understands that the position is the same for everyone. Linge, by possessing a particular type of body. Na, not. Tathaha, so. Avidha kantakaha, a person who has not been pinpricked. Translation: by seeing their faces, one whose body has been pricked by pins can understand the pain of others who are pinpricked, realizing that this pain is the same for everyone. He does not want others to suffer in this way, but one who has never been pricked by pins cannot understand this pain. Would anyone like to read the purport, please?
I can read.
Thank you.
Purport by. There is a saying, the happiness of wealth is enjoyable by a person who has tasted the distress of poverty. There is also another common saying, Vandhya ki bujibe prasava vedana. A woman has not given birth to a child cannot understand the pain of childbirth. Unless one comes to the platform of actual experience, one cannot realize what is pain and what is happiness in the material world. The laws of nature acts accordingly. If one has killed an animal, one must himself be killed by that same animal. This is called mamsa. Mam means me and sir means he. As I am eating an animal, that animal will have the opportunity to eat me. In every state, therefore, it is ordinarily the custom that if a person commits murder, he is hanged. Thank you, Mataji.
Thank you, Mataji. Ajnanaatimirandhasya jnananjanashalakaya chakshurunmilitam yena tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Narayanam namaskritya naram chaiva narottamam devim saraswatim vyasam tato jayam mudirayet. Nashtaprayeshu abhadreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya bhagavati uttama shloke bhaktir bhavati nashtaki mukam karoti vachalam pangum langayate girim yat kripatam aham vande Shri Guru Dinakaranam Paramananda Madhavam Shri Chaitanya Ishwaram Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. So we are reading now how Narad Muni is chastising the sons of Kuvera, Nala Kuvera and Manigriva, and he's mercifully cursing them. So Narad Muni is also revealing the consciousness of a person who is puffed up, who is blinded by false pride because of this, intoxicated condition. The sons of Kuvera were unable to recognize Narad Muni because they were blinded by the, by the opulence of the wealth that they possess. And if we see in this particular section of verses, Srila Prabhupada is also revealing that how these opulences they become impediments in our devotional service. Because when we start to identify with these opulences, and then we become proud, and then we become victims of our false ego. And what exactly is false ego? What does it mean to have false ego? So when we identify or when we connect to different roles that we play in our day-to-day lives, our consciousness is that if I'm playing this role, I'm this person. My identity is then this false ego. For example, if I'm identifying myself as a preacher, or if I'm identifying myself as a manager, then the whole day I am thinking, oh, I'm such a good preacher. I'm such a good manager. Now that is false ego. So like that, we have different roles that we are playing during the day. And then, this intensity of false ego, it increases depending on how deep our identification is. If the identification is really deep rooted, then the false ego is it's very intensified. So one level of false ego is that, okay, I'm playing the role of a mother, or I'm playing the role of a preacher, and I'm identifying with that role. And then the second level, the false ego becomes more intense when I want others also to recognize me for that role. For example, if I am singing very nicely, I want others to recognize me that I'm a good singer. And then the false seeker becomes more bloated, when our ego becomes more bloated, when I'm not only identifying with that particular role that I'm playing, or I not only want others to recognize me for that role, but I also want others to appreciate me for that role that I'm playing. And, oh, she's such a nice manager. Oh, she's such a good singer. So then what happens then when we are always identifying with the roles that I'm playing, that we are playing, then even while chanting, we start to identify with these roles. Throughout the day, whatever identities we are playing, in the chanting also, these identities, they plague our consciousness. In fact, not only at the time of chanting, throughout the day, these identities, they actually they plague our consciousness. My Guru Maharaj used to give this example that how we start our day by chanting. So our consciousness is that I'm a servant and the servant of the servant of the servant of Krishna. But as the day progresses, as we progress in the day, we start to go to work, we start to get ready to go outside in the world. We are playing different roles. Then we start to identify with these roles. So whatever consciousness that we started our day with, we are actually, by the end of the day, we have nullified the effect of the identity of the servant of Krishna. Because now I'm identifying with these roles that I'm playing. So Nalakuvera and Manigriva, they are also thinking like this, that we are so beautiful, we are wealthy, we are healthy. And that is a prideful condition. That's a situation of false pride. And then, when we have this kind of consciousness where we are identifying with all these temporary things that we are getting, then that takes us away, very far away from Krishna. Or it takes us far away from the loving relationship with Krishna as Krishna's servant. The irony about identifying with these roles is that all these roles that I'm playing, all the different roles during the day that I play, they are all temporary. That's why they are called false. Yeah, they are false. It's false ego. Srila Prabhupada writes in the purport of first canto that one should not be proud of borrowed plumes. So, peacocks, they have a feather, peacock plumes. So if a crow may sometime, find that peacock feather lying on the ground somewhere and puts it on itself, thinking that now I have become so beautiful, I'm no longer ugly. So that's a borrowed plume. How long will that apparent beauty last? So we all are, in a way, proud of our borrowed plumes. We get some skill, we get some ability, we get some opulence, some role that we are, some identity, because of our karma or because Krishna gives us. But then we forget, after we get these skills, these abilities, we start to forget Krishna. We try to, even though, at the external, we are thinking, actually, or if someone appreciates us, we may say that, oh, no, it's all Krishna's mercy. But deep down inside, we are thinking, oh, you are actually right. I am, I'm such a good manager. I have done such a nice decoration here. Yes, you're right. Yeah, but your thinking is right. Internally, I'm thinking like this, but externally, I'm thinking, I'm trying to put up a show. So, so we actually forget that in this, eventually time will take everything away from us. Krishna will take everything in due course of time. I was listening to a podcast by a devotee, and that devotee mentioned that eventually everyone loses. And then the interviewer asked him, what do you mean everyone loses? And then he said that because at the time of death, everything is taken away from us. Even for somebody like Arjuna, we see in Canto 1, chapter 15, verse number 21, when Pandavas retired, the chapter is entitled Pandavas Retired Timely. So, Arjuna is coming back from Hastinapur, and he is meeting King Yudhishthir, and then Yudhishthir Maharaj is asking him, what happened, what were the whereabouts, how did it go? So then he mentioned, Arjuna mentioned to Yudhishthir Maharaj that I had the same Gandiva bow, I had the same arrows, I had the same chariot, I had the same horses, and I'm the same Arjuna to whom all the kings offered their respects. But in the absence of Lord Krishna, at a moment's notice, everything became null and void. And I was defeated by these very weak, cowherd men. And then Arjuna says, why is that? Because Krishna withdrew his power. And then Arjuna gives 3 examples. In this particular verse, he says that it's like without Krishna's mercy or without Krishna's empowerment, all my efforts were like putting butter on ashes. If you put butter on fire, then the fire aggravates. But if we put butter on ashes, nothing happens. Or it's like he gives this 3 examples. So first example he gives, I'm putting butter on ashes. Second, he says, it's like waving a magic wand and trying to get some money. So nothing is going to happen. Or evopta mushyam. That means I'm planting seeds on a land that is not fertile, or a barren land, but I'm planting seeds. Nothing is going to happen. What's the point? So similarly, when Krishna has withdrawn his mercy, when Krishna has withdrawn his potency, then we are incapable of doing anything. So what are we even proud of? This beauty, Krishna is going to take us away, take us in due course of time. Wealth, whatever wealth we have, will be enjoyed by somebody else. So basically, the so-called opulences of this world, they are all temporary. And a pure devotee would never want to identify with these opulences, with any of these roles that they are playing. Jivera Swarupa Hoy, Krishnera Nityadasa. A devotee has only one identity. I am a servant of Krishna. And therefore, devotee tries to give up all these designation. Sarvopadi Vinirmuktam, Tatparatrena Nirmala, Rishikena Rishikesha, Sevanam Bhakti Ruchate. A devotee wants to become free from these temporary designations. and he wants to engage in the service of the master of the senses, Rishikesha. And therefore, as devotees, we also have to be very conscious that anything that I have got, any ability, any skills that I have is all due to the mercy of my spiritual master, due to the mercy of Srila Prabhupada, due to the mercy of Krishna. This is beautifully illustrated in prayers of Queen Kunti. In one of the prayers, she says, Vipada Shantuta Shashvat Tatra Tatra Jagat Guru Bhavato Darshanam Tatsyat Apunar Bhava Darshanam. She say, Oh Krishna, my dear Krishna, please give me calamities. Please give me difficulties again and again. Let them come upon me again and again, because then I can remember you. And if I remember you, then I will not have to see repeated birth and death. So when we read this verse, sometimes devotees think, is it practical to pray like this? Oh Krishna, make me bankrupt tomorrow. Oh Krishna, take my health away, take all my wealth. Is it even practical to pray like this? I've heard so many devotees, Keshav Maharaj, Gauranga Prabhu, saying that we cannot pray like this. But the essence of these verses, what we have to learn from this particular prayer of Kunti Maharani is that calamities we cannot avoid in our lives, whoever we are. Even for a richest person, the calamities, it's not that death is not going to come. Srila Prabhupada, writes that no one in this material world can avoid miseries. And then he says that we have to do these three things to be able to survive the onslaught of miseries in our lives. When I was thinking about this particular verse, I was thinking that, we are in Brisbane and, in Australia, we actually don't get to see miseries as such. We are away from our families. We are away from our relatives. We don't see our relatives, getting sick or leaving their bodies. We don't see our parents aging because we are far away. We don't see those things, very closely here in Brisbane or in Australia, because we are, away from the family. Most of us are away from the family. We are, so we don't get to see these. So we actually don't experience misery unless something happens to us, something happens to our children. But, we have to remember that, but we see that, around us that is happening. But we always, the nature of the mind is that if it's not happening to me, it's not going to happen to me. Yeah, it happens to others, but well, I still have time. Like that we think, the nature of the mind is always, if you're far away from if it's not happening closely to me, I don't relate with it. But we have to remember that these miseries are going to come to us. We will get old, we will get disease. Our parents are going to age. They'll be busy. They'll also, suffer some sickness due to old age. So these onslaught of miseries is going to come in our lives. And Prabhupada gives, in one of his lecture, he gives these three things that we can do to be able to survive the calamities of this material world. Prabhupada says, the first thing is we have to always remember Krishna. And he gives an example of this Queen Kunti prayers. He gives this example of a ship in a sea. So on the sea, there's a ship, and we know that anytime the ship can sink. It's very dangerous. It's a precarious situation. It's an unsafe place. So what we have to do constantly in this material world is remember Krishna, knowing that anytime anything can happen. And then, Srila Prabhupada, I was listening to the lecture of Srila Prabhupada on this particular verse, and he was saying that how he was paraphrasing what Arjuna is speaking. So he's paraphrasing that Arjuna is telling Krishna that Krishna, oh, you are saying that we are not the body, we are the soul. And I understand all of that. But it is so difficult. It is so difficult to practice this because I love my uncles. I love my grandchildren. I love my children. I love my grandfather. All on the basis of this bodily platform, bodily relationship. So how can I just ignore this? And then Prabhupada paraphrases what Krishna says. Prabhupada says, so Krishna says, Arjuna, I know that it's not possible. Therefore, I'm suggesting to tolerate it. So tolerance is the second thing that, Srila Prabhupada emphasizes. So the first thing is the strength, the first thing is to remember Krishna. Second, to tolerate. And, the strength to remember Krishna and, to be able to tolerate, it all comes with the third principle that Prabhupada emphasizes, which is that fix our mind on the goal that I want Krishna. Knowing that I am in this material world, I am in the ship, and I'm surrounded by these turbulent waves of material calamities. And anything, my ship is going to sink anytime. But I have to be fixed on my goal that I want Krishna. In Bhagavad Gita, chapter 2, verse number 66, Prabhupada actually clearly describes, he writes that all these difficulties, all these disturbances in our life is because of the want of an ultimate goal. Because we don't have an ultimate goal in life, because we are not clear what we really want, we are always disturbed. So when we are fixed, that my goal is that I want to remember Krishna, I want Krishna, then, it's easy to face the onslaught of the calamities. And in the next verse after this, Kunti Maharani reveals that why we are unable to take shelter of Krishna. She says, the verse goes like this: Janmeshwarya Shruta Shribhir Ede Manamadapuman Never Hati Abhidhatume Tvam Akinchana Gocharam. She reveals that the reason why we are unable to take shelter of Krishna is because we are proud. We are proud of these opulences that we have. We are proud of high birth. We are proud of Aishwarya. We are proud of wealth. We are proud of higher education, by bodily beauty, and therefore I'm unable to call out Krishna, call out for Krishna. Therefore, Krishna is Kunti Maharani is saying that Tvam Akinchana Gocharam, you are the property of the materially impoverished. So this is what Narad Muni is doing them. This is what Narad Muni is doing to Nala Kubera and Manigriva. He is depriving them of their opulences so that they can become akinchana, so that they can take shelter of Krishna. Prabhupada draws a very nice analogy in this particular section of Kunti Maharani prayers. He says that he compares a materially puffed up person to a drunkard. You know how Prabhupada says that how if you go to a drunkard and tell a drunkard, sir, this is your father, this is your mother, please understand. So he will not understand. Prabhupada is saying that. He's always in his own world. He's thinking, Kavi Chandra Maharaj, he's a very observant person. He was once mentioning in his class that how he was observing a drunkard person on the street. And, that drunkard person is, he's bleeding from his nose, he's bleeding from his head. He was falling on the ground. He was in a very, miserable condition. And the police around him, they were trying to help him. They were trying to put him in order. They were trying to lift him. But, he was telling the police, no, I'm all right. I'm perfectly all right. He's actually bleeding. He's falling in the gutter. He's in a completely intoxicated state. He's miserable, but he's thinking that I'm all right. So similarly, an intoxicated person, when one is intoxicated by these material opulences, when I'm taking shelter of my wealth, when I'm taking shelter of high birth, when I'm thinking that, even if I'm unable to, become a pure devotee, at least I have some wealth. or at least I can take some shelter in my wealth. If we have this kind of a mentality, if we are intoxicated by any of the material opulences that we have, then we are also we are like that drunkard person, because we are thinking that I'm all right. Because sooner or later, after how they say that after intoxication comes hangover, and that is even more miserable. So sooner or later, material nature, for people who are not devotees, material nature is going to strip them of their possessions. But for devotees, we are lucky. Because we are always under the shelter of the devotees. We are always under the shelter of our spiritual masters' instructions. They will always remind us, this is not how you, or they will always remind us that this is not the right way, how you are thinking. They will keep us humble. And that's why we always say that we stay under the association of devotees, because they will keep us humble. They will not allow us to get intoxicated. And that's why it's important to, always be surrounded by, by senior Vaishnavas and devotees. And Srila Prabhupada was very particular about this. Whoever was very close to Srila Prabhupada would be very careful, and he would be very particular that his disciples don't get puffed up or proud. When Srila Prabhupada was in San Francisco, there was one girl who would come for Prabhupada classes. Her name was Linda, and she was a very intelligent girl. She was studying Greek philosophy. So when she used to come for, others who used to come to Prabhupada classes, they were all hippies. But this particular girl, she was very intelligent. She actually used to ask Prabhupada very intelligent questions. So, Prabhupada was able to recognize her. And then Prabhupada initiated her. And then Prabhupada taught her cooking. And she picked up very fast. So Prabhupada used to really appreciate. Prabhupada used to comment a few times that she's so good, she's very intelligent, she's such a good cook. And many occasions when Srila Prabhupada was taking prasadam, he would call for her, and he would make her sit in front of her, and he would take prasad. So he would give some prasad from his plate to offer to her. So like that, they used to, sometimes Prabhupada used to take prasadam together. So, devotees were thinking, oh, that's so nice. She's special. She's so close to Srila Prabhupada. But, Srila Prabhupada could see that now this particular devotee, she's becoming very proud. She's thinking, I'm so close to my spiritual master. So one time Prabhupada made some, it was an Ekadashi day, and Prabhupada made some pakoras. And she was also helping in the kitchen. But Prabhupada was cooking. And then Prabhupada cooked and he offered to Krishna. And then they were all honoring prasadam together. So there was Janaki, Mataji, Mukunda, and then this particular devotee, Linda. She was already initiated now. Her name was Leelavati. So Srila Prabhupada asked Leelavati, so Leelavati, what does this contain? And then what is this item that we have cooked, the pakoras that we have cooked? So she said, Prabhupada, I don't know. Prabhupada said, you don't know? Can't you make out what are the ingredients by tasting? And then she was guessing, but she couldn't, she wasn't right. So Prabhupada said, but you came to the kitchen. Didn't you see what I was putting? Then Prabhupada said, and she said, no, Prabhupada, I didn't see. I was busy. And then, Prabhupada started laughing. And he said, oh, Leelavati is busy without intelligence. She's very busy, but she doesn't know what she's doing. And Prabhupada started laughing. And other devotees also started laughing. So she felt completely humiliated. She felt completely crushed. Because she was thinking that she's such a good devotee, such a close disciple of Srila Prabhupada. But here Prabhupada was smashing her ego. And then later on, she sobered up. She realized that, oh, because I was becoming proud, and my spiritual master has mercifully made me humble. And this is actually, if we see, actually, this is Vedic culture, if we observe our, parents, our grandparents, they were never very proud. They're never very proud. When they get success, they don't become extremely happy, or when they don't get any success, they don't become extremely depressed. They're very balanced. So, in like that also, we have to also become balanced in happiness and both in distress. We just have to remember that all these opulences, all these qualities, these abilities that I am getting is because of mercy of Krishna. Sorry, I've gone 2 minutes over 7 o'clock. I'll stop here and see if anyone has any questions or any comments, any realizations.
Mataji, I just wanted to thank you for making the class so simple and understandable. Terms like false ego, we say quite often, but practically what it means, you very nicely explained. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Grantraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Thank you,
Krishna.
Mataji. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Thank you, Mataji.
Thank you, Mataji. Hare
Beautiful
Krishna.
class.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mataji.
Hare Krishna. Thank you for a lovely class, Mataji.